All right, we start with the story from the other night when Mayor Garcetti went to a church in South L.A. and was essentially shouted down until he retreated to his car and actually had to retreat to the car while being pelted, and the car, folks jumping up and down on top of the car. This was a Black Lives Matter protest against the mayor. Joining us right now to talk about this is our friend Jasmine Canick. Jasmine, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Thanks for coming on with us. Well, I know that you're not a member of Black Lives Matters and you weren't there, but you certainly have some thoughts on this.
Yeah. So first of all, the mayor brought this on himself by, kind of picking who was a good black and who's a bad black, right? So he had this town hall meeting and folks just kept it to themselves. It wasn't advertised. Folks didn't know about it. And when Black Lives Matter found out about it, they were a little bit offended because if you remember, they fought to have a meeting with him, and he promised that he would do these town hall meetings, every quarter. And this was allegedly supposed to be one of them, and yet they weren't invited. So that was part of the issue. The second part is that mid-city Los Angeles is not South L.A. And a lot of African Americans have an issue with that. Every time, the mayor or some politicians want to do something with black folks, the furthest east they'll go in L.A. is Crenshaw Boulevard. South L.A. is South L.A., not Crenshaw and Adams. That's what we call West Adams or Mid-City. I've lived over there for 10 years. I'm very clear on where South L.A. is versus Mid-City. So there are a number of issues, and I think that, again, a lot of it just has to do with this idea that you can avoid talking to folks. You can just, mayor.
I must say, the politicians in the city of Los Angeles have avoided talking to everybody. And I really mean that. I mean that sincerely. To everybody. The political institutions of the city of Los Angeles are designed to operate in a vacuum.
Well, Black Lives Matter, what I've seen is that they're really challenging people like, Eric Garcetti. And, this is coming from someone who worked her butt off and wanted to see Garcetti become mayor over Gould at the time. So it is a little bit disappointing to see that, a couple of years in, this is sort of the relationship that he has with the African-American community. I very rarely see Garcetti go anywhere near South L.A. Like I said, where this town hall meeting was is not South L.A. And the fact that, Black Lives Matter, wasn't invited to this town hall meeting, yet they're the ones who pushed for these town halls, is really telling. And I hope that Garcetti is getting a little bit of a wake-up call just in terms of this idea that, I can separate what blacks I want to talk to. Like, I'll talk to these folks who are 60 and older, who are already retired and who are homeowners, and they vote every election. But I'm going to forget about, these folks who are younger, who are renters, who, may not be employed, who live in, let's say on Central or Manchester. I'm going to ignore those folks. You cannot do that. And people who think that Black Lives Matter supporters or members don't vote should think again. These folks are very politically active.
We're talking with Jasmine Canick, who is a political analyst and social commentator, and you can follow her on Twitter at Jasmine. That's her Twitter handle, JASMYNE. To me, I think that you have isolated what the mayor was trying to do, which is he's trying to, and this has been a recurring theme for city government for years, to create the illusion of engagement on a controversial issue by picking a safe setting so that they can put out some pictures of him talking to African Americans, and it looks like, wow, the mayor is engaged on this issue, but in fact, it's really just the periphery of the issue.
Right, exactly. In politics in Los Angeles, it is only okay to deal with blacks in Leimert Park, Baldwin Hills, and like the Crenshaw district, right? No one really wants to go into the heart of South LA and deal with the African-American community there because those are the folks who are going to have the most complaints, right? You talk about, the police, housing issues, job issues. No, you want to go into these communities where nearly everyone is employed, or folks are getting ready to retire, they're already retired, and so their complaints and their issues are going to be a little bit different. And we've seen that, Doug, for years and years, in terms of the Black community. But I think we're at a point now where maybe the paradigm is shifting a little bit, and politicians are being called out on that, because one of the things that bothered me the most about this town hall was that it was labeled as a South LA town hall meeting, but it wasn't in South LA. And it's like, no, if you want to talk to the people of South LA, go to South LA and talk to those folks. Don't use, South LA as sort of, how we get like to use South LA as meaning, okay, this was a Black town hall meeting, so we'll label it the South LA town hall meeting. And that's not really what it was.
Now, with this said, the problem, I think, for Black Lives Matters is that the tactic of shouting down speakers has happened at the Bernie Sanders rally in Seattle, and it's happened a number of other occasions, is something that really doesn't attract a lot of converts.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. You could say that people have been arguing this for years and no one was paying any attention, and here comes Black Lives Matter, and all of a sudden it's on the 10 o'clock news. So I think that that particular organization, they are making some leadway. They are getting some things done all over the country. Here in Los Angeles, it's very interesting, that folks seem to be scared of Black Lives Matter. And they, when it comes to Garcetti, even though they shout folks down and they do all these different things, they were the ones that did go over to the mayoral mansion and have that, camp out there and catch him sneaking out the back. That was another group. That was Black Lives Matter.
Well, one of the things that I think is progress is that if nothing else, it's shocking to liberal Democratic politicians in a liberal Democratic city that they're not as beloved as they think they are.
I think that shock may go both ways. So maybe those folks are shocked too, and Black folks who just, sort of blindly follow the sort of Democratic Party, and some of these politicians here in LA are waking up as well, realizing, okay, they really don't like me. So, like I said, that may go both ways. It'll be really interesting as we head into the new year and we head into this upcoming election to see what really happens between, for example, liberal Democrats and the African American community, because Democrats have been able to pretty much count on the Black votes.
They just
over.
They can put it in the bank going forward. All right. Jasmine, thanks for coming on with us. Appreciate it. Jasmine Canick, Twitter @Jasmine. Let's go get traffic. Here's Bill Thomas.